Hey there.
Oh, welcome back, everybody, to the Rugby Scoop podcast. We are back. We are back. We are back. Whoa! We've got the greatest rivalry, the build-up to the greatest rivalry. I am not by myself, of course. I am joined by Hugh Griffin, the stats man, all the way from the UK. Vuyo Zanga, the rugby coach, former player, expertise galore, tactical awareness, Mr. Attack and Defense, Vickers Miranda, all the way in Asia, China to be precise. But nonetheless, we'll be waiting for Jade as usual. I think the bus is late in Bloemfontein. The times are quite different, but we're on the same time zone. But yeah, nonetheless, welcome everybody. Welcome Vickers. Welcome Hugh. Vickers, how are things on your side? I know it's quite late in the evening right now. Talk to me.
Yeah, all good, bro. All good. Just hot. Yeah, so it's hot. Yeah. So it's rough. It's rough. Training's outside. It's basically like imagine Durban 10 times.
Oh, no ways. That's a
Summer.
mess.
Yeah.
So humidity and heat at the same time. It's just
and
insane.
heat. Basically, you walk out and you start sweating. So it's all about wearing dark clothes, and otherwise you're going to be showing sweat always.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. But anyway, in Amsterdam, the weather's pretty cool. It's all right. We've got clear blue skies, and yeah, we haven't had a lot of rain this summer. It's been one of the best summers in a while because I know I've been here 6 years, and I think around July, you start seeing or feeling the change in temperature, the change in weather conditions, a bit cloudy every now and again, a bit windy, a bit chilly here and there. But we haven't experienced a lot of it the past 3 months. But touching wood, I hope this continues into August as well. I don't know how it is in the UK. I mean, Europe seems to have similar conditions all around. Hugh, how are you?
Yeah, it's dry, man. It's dry, but the weather's dry, Scoop. But I want to know, the question I've got is this a dry podcast? Am I the only one not drinking, is my question.
Well, I've got nothing. I've got nothing in front of me at the moment. I know they're in China. There's maybe one or two glasses. Maybe I should open a glass of bubbles. I've got the champers in the fridge. I mean, why not? The sun is out. The podcast is on. We've got very good topics to discuss. Yeah, I think it's time to open up something there, Jada. Bloemfontein, the taxi is coming late, as usual.
Oh man, don't be like that, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I'm not having anything today. I had too much yesterday, so I'm not having anything today.
Jade and Vickers, man, what are your guys' thoughts on Winston? So, a passionate All Black supporter from Western Cape has legally changed his name to honor New Zealand and Maori culture. Winston Small, van die Kaap af, has changed his name to Winitana Mororiki. Winitana Mororiki. Hey, I've seen things, but this is incredible. This is incredible.
So what's going to happen to the kids? Are the kids also going to be
guys, Scoop, I saw your thread a few days ago, and it was perfectly put out in terms of why people support the All Blacks in South Africa. And, I really gave my background as to why I support the All Blacks. I've been through it. I've played in sports teams, and not just rugby teams, where we experience, sitting in the back of the bus. Suddenly we had to sit in front of the bus. Some guys didn't want to share rooms with us. And, I can see there's a change now, with past. It's not like that anymore. However, you picked up the love for the team. I picked up the love for All Blacks. My dad's a big Boks supporter. He's not an All Black supporter, but I met Jonah Lomu in Zinzenbroek in '94 with the Maori store. I met Zinzenbroek, and I think this guy's named Craig Dowd, and they all came that year down. And then the next year was Jonah Lomu Fever that hit the world, and the likes of Christian Cullen. So I just picked on from there and continued supporting the team. So there's so many ways about it, but I'm not going to change my surname and my name.
Yeah. No, fair.
Yeah.
No, that is fair. I think it's nice to also maybe kick things off in that manner, because I think background-wise, I mean, you all grow up waking up at 4:30 in the morning, watching Springboks play New Zealand in New Zealand, and you kind of grew some passion, love. It's almost like what happens when you follow like your Man Uniteds or your Liverpools, and obviously, I mean, there was a big following back in the days of Brazil football team within within the communities back in the days. South Africa was not involved, obviously, in your 1994 World Cup, your 1996, I think did we make it in 96 or 98? Sorry, 98. We made it in 98, because we qualified. But obviously, people have choices out there, but I think when it comes to rugby in South Africa, the stigma that comes with the emblem, the stigma that comes with the Springbok, the history that comes with it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people have obviously changed from supporting the All Blacks to jumping on ship as soon as Siya Kolisi was made captain. And some people have just had generations and generations of family members supporting the All Blacks. But I mean, this makes a good rivalry at the end of the day, right, between South Africa and New Zealand. And obviously, we're in for a big showcase. We are in for box office. We are in for Hollywood. We are in for a lot of media frenzy. There's gonna be a lot of back and forth on social media. But yeah, that's why it's called the greatest rivalry. I mean, I think the whole world will come to a standstill when it comes to this fixture. Nonetheless, guys, we've got news making headlines.
Can I start off with a joke quickly? A very,
Oh,
very,
my
very,
goodness.
very, very, very good joke. So, a guy on the spot, that's a very good listener to our podcast. But he's the guy that gets under the English and the All Black supporters' skin, scrumming fly off, and he sent me a good one. So, in the 90s, the Blues and the All Blacks had a scrum off. And what was his name? Officer Tanua. Can you remember him? Yeah,
Junior Tanuu.
Junior
Tanuu.
Yeah. Because Officer Tanua was his name.
Yeah.
And back in that day in Super Rugby, before it became professional, they would have the occupation of the players, in the team sheet. So, for example, Uli Schmidt was a doctor. I think Glenn Osmond was a policeman. And every time that Hugh Blyden and Grant Nisbet called this guy Officer Tanua, made Scrumming Fly think more that this guy was actually a policeman, because
Oh no, come on.
So I started.
Come on. Oh wow. Officer Tanuu. What a mess. What a freaking mess. Dad jokes all around. Nonetheless, let's kick it off, gents. We've got David Nisafora to sign a new contract extension with Scottish Rugby as performance director until 2027. Is this good news, Hugh, from what we've seen, from what Nisafora has done with Irish rugby over the years? And I think from now, we are seeing maybe some of his influence. I think we spoke about this a while back in terms of how he's trying to change what's happening at Glasgow, etc., trying to get more players from overseas to come and play in Scotland, to also build a good trajectory in terms of player numbers and depth within Scottish footy. He's done well with Ireland. We've seen what he's done there. But I think now Scotland might benefit from this guy extending until 2027.
I don't know, man. I can only go off what people are telling me, what the people on the streets are saying. And I haven't spoken to any Irish people, whether that's just fans or occasionally coaches, who have anything particularly positive to say about Nusafora, his impact and what he brought. And I've spoken to multiple Scotland fans and people in Scottish rugby who were saying that they were looking forward to this guy's contract ending so he could leave. And so for him to be given a contract extension, I think is unpopular. Very unpopular with the people. My understanding is that he does not have an amazing relationship with Franco Smith at Glasgow. And people he's got a reputation of particularly upsetting the women's rugby programs wherever he goes, and generally kind of pissing off all the women's players. And so in terms of whether he was successful or not, or what he tried to do ending up working or not, it's a topic for debate, but he is not a popular man in either of those countries.
He's one of those strong characters where it's his way or the highway. So he's got that tendency to do things like that. And I think with Ireland, he had a lot of control. I mean, you can't take away his success with Irish rugby, but I think it's also like, for me, the way I see it is that Scotland needed someone like him because he's coming from a successful background into a stagnant system. So I think in that case, for me, I wouldn't have thought it would be the people would be obviously having it as a bad, but maybe also the years. I mean, the one thing about coaching and being part of rugby, once you're spending so many years in it, you get to grow a thick skin. And that's mostly a problem when it comes to direct administrators, coaches, because it's almost like you've seen the movie before and you try to push people towards that movie instead of allowing them to operate in their comfort zones.
Yeah, no, very good points. Very good points. I didn't think there would be a lot of negativity around him. But I mean, at the end of the day, each their own. Let's see how that develops over the couple of months that he's going to be in charge. I think he's got another 18 months to go. So let's see how he how he develops Scottish footy to a good trajectory going forward. Sanatori, San Goliath, has officially announced the signing of Ireland's James Lowe. So now it's official, guys. So James Lowe will not be participating, I'm assuming, in next year's Six Nations, because Irish also have a strict rule, right, when it comes to playing outside of Ireland in order to be selected for the national team. And yeah, Joe Schmidt, Jade, he's now moved to Ulster on a consultancy basis to develop apparently up-and-coming coaches and the structures within Ulster in the coaching department, etc. But for me personally, I mean, we know Joe Schmidt he left Ireland, he went to New Zealand, he was involved with the Blues, maybe on a consultancy basis, and then Fozzie wanted to bring him in, but he was operating remotely. He was operating remotely at times, and then eventually he had to be forced to kind of work fully with Fozzie eventually, and they both ended up going into the World Cup final together. But he's always made he's always said that he has issues, family issues that he needs to fix, or family issues that he needs to take care of. That's why he can't fully commit on jobs. But I find it quite strange that now, after doing the Australian gig, he still finds time to consult with Ulster remotely, and he'll be there maybe 1 or 2 weeks, then fly back to New Zealand. I don't know. I find it quite strange with Joe Schmidt. I thought after Australia, this would be it. Maybe he'll just chill in New Zealand, maybe even just help out with one of the clubs down there. But it seems like he's still a busy man within the rugby circles.
Yeah, he's a busy man, but I've got this feeling that we'll see Joe Schmidt involved in the next British and Irish Lions tour, and I think he will be one of the coaches there when they tour New Zealand. I think, that's something that I think he's looking at. I don't think he gets into the All Black squad. I don't, with Tony Brown still coming in there, but I think something that he might eye up. He hasn't really been involved in the Lions team, and maybe that's just something that he wants to do. And I really think this is a path he's creating for himself to make that Lions team and to be on the coaching staff. I think so. I think that's just my hot tip. So remember the last hot tip I gave you of Samesi Tupu Tailua? I'm giving you another hot tip today. Just remember that.
Oh my God. Craig with the Nuggets, huh? Springbok Guru, Tony Brown will be staying behind. Him and Dwayne Vermeulen Vickers will be staying behind to remain in South Africa with a group of players at the national team's base in Johannesburg. Clearly, they're working on something there in Joburg, while the other Springbok group is travel. I saw that they landed this morning or last night in Argentina to prepare for the game next week, Saturday. We will discuss that later on as well. And then we'll also do the build up to the greatest rivalry. We've got a few topics that we need to discuss around this and a lot around stats and data and how these are collected and how useful these will be going into the greatest rivalry. Are we reading it in the right manner? Are we discussing the numbers in the right manner? What else? What else is on the news headlines? Oh, we've already discussed Jade Craig, Winitana Moro Riki. Okay, let's get on with it, guys. Quite an intense greatest rivalry. I mean, we know the rivalry has endured great triumph and turmoil over the years, from a political tensions. We've discussed a bit about that, to tour boycotts that have taken place, unforgettable World Cup battles, sold out stadiums. I mean, sold out test matches. I think every chapter basically has added a lot of legacy between these two countries. Respect has always existed. But I mean, it's unwavering belief from both nations, I guess, like who holds or represent rugby's gold standard. I think that's one of the key elements that drives passionate fans towards this game. Who holds the gold standard, Vickers? Who holds the gold standard, Hugh Griffin? Who holds the gold standard, Jade Craig?
If I can go first, I think, look, it's a nice conversation to have. I mean, we've got the number one team versus the number two team.
Mm-hmm.
We've got New Zealand dominating rugby for most part of the early 2000s till probably 2017, 18, even more, even going to the World Cup in 2019. Although I think Ireland was number one ranked team in 2019 World Cup, but for me, now it's time for South Africa, right? They dominated, and it's for New Zealand to give South Africa the challenge.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, when I talk about the early 2000s, it was South Africa giving the challenge to the New Zealand. So it was South Africa fighting the challenge. So it's the other way around. So it's a perfect timing for me. I think this is probably going to be, we're going to be stunned every weekend. We're going to come out thinking, oh, wow, can we have this space right now? And I mean, I think that's how I feel about this. I'm fortunate that I'll be in South Africa for two tests, I think, for the last two tests. I think the end of August and then the first one in September. I can't wait to be in the pub. It's going to be great.
No, fair. I mean, the Springboks have built their identity on physicality, dominance, relentless defense. I mean, we've seen from Jake White. I mean, Vickers, you speak of early 2000s. When Jake White came to the Springboks, he wasn't doing a lot as well, seeing he was quite conservative in his approach. It's a similar approach from Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber as well, but put pressure on opponents. Put pressure on them, force them to make the mistakes. Rush defense. When Jake White came through, he started that whole rush defense. And we were shocked they didn't give New Zealand any opportunity, and they got a lot of intercepts. The Brian Abanas, the Jean de Villiers, the Jacques Fouries of this world back in the days. I mean, Griffin, from what you've seen since you watch your first Springbok game and watch All Blacks versus Springboks, who do you think has that gold standard? Or, as Vickers has alluded to, early 2000s to 2017, All Blacks were at the top of their game, and the Springboks are trying to catch up. Now we're in a decade where the Springboks are on top of their game, the All Blacks are trying to catch up.
I think right now, as we sit here talking on the 2nd of August 2026, the Springboks are number one. The Springboks, they would say count the World Cups. They would say check the world rankings. It's easy to forget, guys. Let's not, have short memories. The All Blacks sacked their coach less than 6 months ago. So, in terms of which team is on top right now, clearly the Springboks, in my opinion. I think if you look back over the last 30 years and you count the number of years in which the All Blacks have been on top and the number of years where the Springboks have been on top, there's probably more years where the All Blacks have been on top, in my lifetime anyway. And then you look back at who was the best team of all time, in my personal opinion, and other people are allowed to disagree if they like, and it's okay. In my personal opinion, still the greatest team of all time is the 2015 All Blacks. So Oof. I think historically, before the last 2 or 3 years, pre-2023, the All Blacks are the gold standard. Right now, as we sit here today, is the Springboks.
Oof, perfect. A lot of backlash, but a lot of praise as well that comes with that. Talk to me, Jade.
Scoop, I'm going to go a little bit backwards. And I would like we also to give his 2 cents here. We'll talk a little bit about history. Scoop, you can also get in. You're a little bit older than me. But if you're looking at this whole series and the whole historic event of the series, let's not take into account what happened in the 80s, in New Zealand. That was really more of a political series than anything else. And you're looking at, you forget about the Cavaliers tour that they had, the Rebels tour they had in the 80s. So the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. The 80s, the All Blacks won the first World Cup, but they'll always be that with a box there. They weren't there. They felt they had a stronger team, on paper. They could have matched the All Blacks. In the 90s, the Boks won that World Cup, but we know that the next year, the All Blacks beat them basically 3-1 in South Africa. They beat them 3-1 in South Africa, and arguably that was one of the greatest teams we've seen in world rugby. That was, the likes of Michael Jones, Fitzpatrick, and in the 1996 tour, that was, one of the best teams ever. And then we again came in the 2000s, where the early 2000s, neither South Africa or New Zealand were the best team in the world. That was when it was Australia and England at the time, that they took over. Then Graham Hendrick came in, and we saw that dominance, from, let's say, 2009 or so to 2015, for that decade or so. Or behind you be the team that in 2007, New Zealand looked flawless going into that France World Cup, and then, they coughed it up there. So if you're looking at the background and the whole historical event of it, obviously New Zealand has more wins than South Africa, if you're looking at the head-to-head. However, we cannot forget, what a test series this is going to be, what a tour it's going to be. The way the tour is set up, the publicity, the cheap banter, and the cheap shots that's going on. I think New Zealand rugby threw the first, I would say, jab on Friday with inviting, the Cape Crusaders and all of the All Black supporters from Africa to come to the stadium and, having an open meet and greet, basically. So I think it threw a little bit of a jab there to show the support they have in South Africa. However, it's going to be a hell of a series, Scoop. It's going to be a lot of back and forth. But if you're looking historically, now is the time where, if you're looking back at it, you'd think that South Africa is going to take a hell of a performance from New Zealand to beat them. Yeah, they can do it, but South Africa just looks too strong for them on paper at the moment. So honestly, at the moment in time, like you have said, I would say South Africa is at the advantage at the moment. In current time, they are at their golden generation. However, if you're looking back at it and in the past, I would say the previous New Zealand teams that came here, the last team that came here, if New Zealand are going to emulate anything, they're going to have to look and dig deep. I mean, as good as that 1996 team was, they had to dig deep to win that series, 3-1. So we expecting this team to do the same, It's just, I don't know, do you have any memories, as I'm asking you, do you have any memories? I mean, you're a little bit older than myself in Scoop of the last series that was here in 1999. I've got vague memories. I know they drew against Griquas. I think it was 18-18. I was at that game. The All Blacks in midweekend, and then they won the series 3-1. But do you have memories, of that 1996 series, that last series was here?
No, you know what, actually, I didn't even watch much of rugby in those years because I just started. I only started playing rugby in 95. Actually, yeah, 95, and then that's 96.
Inspired by the World Cup, because
Actually, yeah, but look, not really, but yeah, it was part of it. And then also 96, that's when I started loving Carlos Spencer with the Blues and what you call Officer Tunu. Yes, I remember the scrum of Officer Tunu.
Officer Tunu.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed rugby then. But then,
that's hilarious.
But I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that at the current point in terms of the marketing for this tour, it's going really good because I see clips of Rassi talking, Jacques Ninaba talking all over social media. And I think it's what the hype is coming to. And I mean, like Jade said, it's a great move by New Zealand to invite the Cape Crusaders to come and view the training. I mean, they even had a stage there, bro. They had a stage so they can have a talk to the fans. That's rough. So it's like that's a real jab. That's a real jab. I don't think South Africa will be able to do that. I think South Africa can do that in England. Actually, if South Africa travel to England, have a series against England, they will do that in England, but not in New Zealand. So it is a little bit of a jab. But Jade, I think for me, I mean, we look at the British and Irish Lions tours and everything. I think this is probably one we're going to speak about for many years to come, even with our kids.
Oof, perfect. I think remembering 1996. Oh man, the one moment in time that sticks out for me was Glenn Osborne riding down the touchline, and he had a left step to cut back inside to score a winning try against the Boks. In that, I think that was the one to clinch the series. And you had Kobus Visa, you had Mark Andrews trying to close down this nippy little fullback, but he was covering wing at that time because Jonah got injured or something like that, and he had to cut back inside. And for me, that's like a memory that stuck with me for until today. It's 30 years, but it's always, whenever anyone speaks about 1996 All Blacks touring South Africa, that's the one memory that still sticks out because, I mean, we were celebrating, jumping up and down, running in the streets. It was insane.
And also, Scoop, sorry to cut you off there, but imagine the final 1995. How many times was New Zealand pressing on South African try line? Trying to get over. And I think they were held up a couple of times, or they just couldn't get over the line.
They couldn't score tries against against Springboks.
Yeah. And for me, I think like when I look at those memories, and I imagine myself. I mean, even the move they played when Joseph made the tackle on Jonah Lomu. I mean, how crazy was that? How crazy!
And Jonah was supposed to run through and score from that, huh?
Exactly. And also, I mean, go back to the drop goals. I mean, the drop goals, that was insane. So I think we've got in, like, people will say we've got a very good recipe lining up. You just need to put the heat on 180 and let it simmer.
Hugh, you wanted to jump in earlier.
Yeah, just coming back to the previous question about the gold standard, I kind of thought popped into my head of, if you look at it the other way around, if you kind of look at the kind of how the instead of looking at the top, if we look at the lowest each team went, you kind of say that, in my lifetime, in the last 10 years, we've seen the Springboks hit rock bottom under Alistair Coetzee with the 57-0, and they couldn't. Every time they were going up north, they were getting a hiding, and so they even lost to Wales, I think, 3 times in a row. The All Blacks have never been that. The worst All Blacks team I've ever seen in my life, it was still always a shock when they lost. So if you flip it around the other way and you go gold standard, it's always a shock when the All Blacks lose.
That is fair. I think that is fair. I mean, there's been a lot that the Springbok fans have endured. Let's maybe pick it up from a Peter de Villiers era. Peter de Villiers did well. And then post 2011, I think that quarterfinal, that's when a lot of things kind of turned for the Springbok community in terms of looking at officials, how that quarterfinal turned out against Australia. I mean, I think there's this guy from, I think he's from Wales, if I'm not mistaken. He does these video clips on Twitter and he puts them on YouTube about specific players, et cetera, et cetera. And there was this one clip he posted, I think it's a week or 2 weeks ago. And it was about the Australia versus Springbok game in the quarterfinals in New Zealand 2011. And it was about Adam Ashley Cooper and the tackle he made to stop Lambie from scoring. Oh my goodness. In today's rugby, that's a clear red card. 20-minute red card, Adam Ashley Cooper would have been sent off already. It was one of the wildest games to watch as well, because I think I was the only person watching that was determined that the Springboks must not go through, because the only team that could have challenged the Springboks was either France. I mean, the All Blacks was either France or South Africa. And South Africa had a very strong side that had won 2007. That South Africa had a strong side that had won the British and Irish Lions that toured South Africa in 2009 as well. So in 2011, they had a very mature team, similar to what happened from 2019 team to 2023 team. They had a very mature team. They had guys who had that were there. They were cohesive. They were group, and they were together, you know. And I think one of the strongest teams in the 2011 World Cup, New Zealand, France, and the Springboks. So Australia beating the Springboks in that quarterfinal, my goodness. I think some Springbok fans are still angry about that till today. Regardless of that, let's look into these South Africa's, I mean, All Blacks are going to play Stormers, but I want to move away from the Stormers element. I want to look at both coaches, gents. Now we need to start having our thinking caps on. I want to look at both coaches. Rassie Erasmus has his own style, right? The Springboks have played a similar style. They've introduced your Tony Brown. They've got data analysts. They've got physios. They've got SNCs. They've got all sorts of things. But South African identity and DNA has always stayed the same. Physical dominance, relentless defense. I spoke about this earlier. That unbreakable will, you know, to always commit yourself. So, and then now we've got the All Blacks on the other side, right? The All Blacks probably want to be what? They captivate you in terms of flair, skill, ability to turn moments of brilliance into breathtaking rugby, for example, right? Two contrasting styles, but at the same time, people talk about the Springboks being physical and dominant, etc., and being a heavier pack, but All Blacks still have some meat on them as well, right? Let's start with you, Vickers, actually. If you're Rassie Erasmus, how do you go about planning for that first test? And what do you think you need to win the first test?
For me, the way I'd approach it is, remember, you need data. So they last played each other last year in the rugby championship. So they don't have much data now, with obviously with the current new coach and everything. So it's almost like you have to scrap everything that Razor was doing and focus on obviously what Rennie is bringing. So you'll be analyzing the France game, the Irish game. So in that sense, for me, is that Rassie is probably going to be keeping it very simple. It's going to be one of those games that it's going to be try bruise them as much as you can. So you're running hard at them, you're tackling them hard. I think that's the approach. Until obviously after that game, then you will then analyze and see, okay, what are the tactical things that we can change. But for this one, I think for me, it's going to be it's probably look at it in the sense that let's get data so that we can be able to see what we can improve on going into the last three tests. So, it's almost like actually the first test is almost like a trial run for both teams to see what both teams are bringing, so that you can be able to go into the last three with a good plan. So I think the way South Africa treated is very like a World Cup final.
Wow.
Try to keep it simple, kick,
yeah.
bruise New Zealand in terms of that, because obviously New Zealand has a lot more games in South Africa, so they'll try to bruise them so that they can run thin on their starting lineup. So that's the way I would approach it. But I think that's the way I would say probably Rassie will be looking at as well, is that they need to get some data so that they can be able to move on to those last three tests with a little bit of information.
Oof. Fair enough. And Griffin, and then how much does one as a coach then depend on the data? I mean, I think we've spoken about this on the WhatsApps as well regarding data. Yes, it's amazing. It's really required, especially in modern day rugby. It's so important. And how much of that do you think both coaches need to rely on, and how much of just basically what eye test would be required as well?
Well, in terms of analysing themselves and, analysing their own data to inform their selections or what they need to work on in training, they'll have an idea in their head of the game plan that they want to play, and then they'll be picking the stats that kind of support that tell them that answer those questions, and then going off it there. So, for example, if you're Rassie and it's, a very physical, very confrontational game plan that you're looking at, and say, for example, he's looking to pick a second row because that's maybe where there's some open question marks in selection. You might look at dominant tackles, you might look at dominant carries, you might look at post-contact meters, those kind of things, and say, okay, which guys are best suited to this game plan. Although that most of that, I would say, and now Vickers can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of that I think would probably come from when he's selecting the initial squad from the franchises, because he can't physically, he probably could if he wanted to, but maybe he can't watch and recall every single game that all four franchises have played, plus the guys who are abroad. So he'd look at the data across the season. For the four games that they've played so far, he probably, I'm assuming, would rely more on the eye test, because it's a small sample size, and some of these players have only had one opportunity, one game. So he'd look at that, and he'd look at what he's seeing in training as well. I mean, something that I find fascinating whenever I speak to coaches is that, modern teams these days, they film training and then the coaches watch training back. So that they'll be analysing that as well as not just the games. In terms of analysing each other, I think if I'm Dave Rennie, I'm happy, because I've got lots of data on the Springboks, lots of really good, interesting data on the Springboks from the last four games and from the last, since Rassie's been in charge, since 2023, that tells me what kind of game that they like to play, what kind of thing they like to do. So, I'm prepared for Dave Rennie probably thinks he's seen from South Africa everything that they've got. Like he's probably not expecting anything new. Whereas Rassie has only seen 3 games from Dave Rennie. And it's kind of like, has Dave Rennie really shown all of his cards so far? I would be surprised. These guys are smart guys, intelligent guys, strategists, and will they have revealed their full hand? Because as Jade and Vuyo have said, this is like a Lions tour. And if I use the Lions tour as a reference point, the Lions don't show their full deck of cards, in the warm-up games against the club sides, do they? They keep things back for the tests. So I imagine that both coaches are keeping things back from the tests, and it's easier for Dave to keep things back because he's only had 3 games. So I should imagine Rassie probably thinks there's quite a lot he still doesn't know about Dave Rennie's All Blacks.
Yeah. Well said and well put. Jade, your thoughts on this? Oh, Vickers, you want to jump in quickly?
Yeah. Okay, Vickers jump in.
No, Jay, continue. It's a bigger effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for everybody to say that you know what the Boks are going to bring. You know, they're going to bring the physicality. They're going to, you know, they scrum as a weapon. They're going to look to kick and be contestable at kicking and all of that. But you also got to prepare for that element of surprise that the Boks will throw. And I don't know if Dave Rennie and the All Blacks are ready for that. I think maybe they're ready for what the Boks can give them. They can expect that. And they're ready for what they expect the Boks to bring, you know, to be physical, to play a kicking game, I mean, to compete with them, contest them, everything, make them work hard for close contact meters. I mean, that's a big chat in New Zealand at the moment. So for me, at the moment, I don't know if they really them know what the Boks' element of surprise is going to be. And when they do that, how is this All Black team going to react? The Boks know that, okay, they've really plays a certain style. There's one thing that the All Blacks won't shy away from, is a tip-on game. They're going to go towards that tip-on game. And what happens if it doesn't work and the receivers tackle behind that vantage line? How does the All Blacks regroup? You know, who wins that collision there when they're stopped behind that vantage line? Do they have patience? Do they have a plan B to go to if it's not working for them? What are they going to do? You know, that's what the Boks will targeting. They know that New Zealand is going to bring that tip-on game. Now, for the New Zealand perspective against the Boks, I don't know if they know what to expect. What surprises Tony Brown and Rassie going to throw at them? Because I think there's going to be a few surprises there. I think so. And I think if you look at the 3 games that they played against Scotland, France, and what was the other team, Wales, they didn't really show any innovation, really. You know, they didn't show anything new. And I think they're keeping this for this day series. They're gonna go to that, you know. A few years ago, we saw Cheslin Colby throwing the ball in at the lineup, and they scored the win try against the All Blacks in the last 5 minutes. All the yell does that. Only Rassie Erasmus will do that, make that big goal, you know. So, what surprise do they have? Are the All Blacks ready for that? Are they ready for that element of surprise the Boks going to throw at them? We can state and we can say, yes, statistically, like a few guys in the pods will say, catch, receive, pass, kicking and keeping ball in hand for so many phases. Luke Jacobson's going to hit 30 rucks in the game, etc., etc. However, nobody knows what that element of surprise is going to be. And the All Blacks also, if they do start fast, can they maintain it? You know? That's the thing for me. If they do start fast and if they do get 2 or 3 scores, can they maintain it, or are they going to allow the Boks to get back into the game? And how are they going to react with the Boks get back into the game? Do they have that second gear? So it's all of those questions that's going to come in. But like you said, I think in the warm-up games against the Stormers, against the Sharks and the Bulls, those teams will be a little bit watered down. I think it's going to be, you know, attacking rugby, and I think they're just going to throw the ball around.
Yeah,
and everybody
yeah, I think so too. Vickers?
No, yeah, I wanted to just comment on what Hugh was talking about in terms of Russ's selection. I think the one thing that they do at the moment is obviously they pick players on form, based on form and experience, and then, like you said, they obviously record trainings, and I mean, as coaches, we watch trainings and review training, and show players things that they're doing in trainings that they shouldn't be doing in games. Yeah. And then another thing is that the crazy thing about South African rugby players is that they'll be so average for their professional franchises or club sides, and as soon as they get to that Springbok jersey, they become monsters. And that's the problem that obviously New Zealand has to face, because you look at a player and say, yeah, he was average in his club. No, he was average. But then once he wears that jersey, it becomes a different monster. So that's another thing when it comes to those players. And also, I mean, Rassie hasn't really shown his hand, because he's played a lot of different teams since obviously the June test. He's played a lot of different starting lineups. He's made a lot of changes. Guys like Sia Kolisi, will probably see them this coming weekend with Eben, maybe. But there's a lot of changes that is made, so you can't really analyze. And then the last point is, for me, I think with most, this will go with most coaches. I hardly analyze teams playing against other teams. So if I'm playing New Zealand, I don't care how New Zealand played against France. Yes, I'll watch the game and I'll see you pick up one or two things, but I don't care about the game. I want to see the game that we played against each other. And that's where the difficulty is now with Rassie, is that he hasn't played against Dave Rennie. He's only played against Australia against Dave Rennie, and he lost those games. So the thing that they will probably go to is just look at one or two things. But like I said, the main thing is that first test will be to get data and get data in terms of that. How do they play against this current group of Springboks versus this current coaching group of New Zealand?
Yeah, 100%. Griffith?
I think the one thing that Dave hasn't seen from his own players yet is what they're like in close games. Because I think if we talk about what's the likelihood of at least one of these tests being very tight, being very cagey, I think we'd say quite high. That's very, across these four games, at least one of them is going to be like that, pretty sure. Whereas if you look at, the three tests they've had in July so far, France was a close game, but it wasn't cagey. It was kind of a shoot from the hip, you score one, we'll score one. It was quite loose as a game. That could happen against the Springboks in a game, but again, if we assume that one of them is going to be cagey, and then you had Italy was a walkover, and then Ireland didn't turn up in the first half, and New Zealand again walked all over them. And then you're looking at these players. I look at the All Blacks 9, 10, 12, and these Hurricanes guys, and we talked about in Super Rugby these guys walked the league. Was it the most or the second most dominant final of all time? 60-0 at one point or something like that. And then you look at other guys in that side, the big decision makers, Ardie Savea, okay, maybe he's been in some big games lately for his club in Japan. You look at Damien McKenzie, whenever he's been in a tight game for the Chiefs, they've lost. The Chiefs, how many final defeats in a row? So if I'm Dave, I'm thinking, I don't know these guys, if these are the guys, if the score line is that there's 1 or 2 points in it with 5 minutes to go, I don't know how these guys are going to be under those circumstances. And I wonder, I keep thinking back to a few weeks ago where Dave Rennie said Beauden Barrett is going to have a big part to play in this All Blacks team. I wonder if that might be what it is.
Ooh, Beauden Barrett. Ha! Not a chance. I will be surprised if Beauden Barrett starts the first test. That will be a surprise. But I mean, looking at now the tactics, obviously, Vickers, you spoke about Springboks chopping and changing their team from England, Scotland, and Wales. I mean, you can't get a lot out of the Welsh game. You can't get a lot out of the English game as well. But I think maybe the proper test could have been Scotland. But Scotland obviously missed a lot of opportunities. I think they spent more time inside the Springbok 22 than any other team out of these three teams, right? But when we look at Scotland
as well, Scoops.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scoop. Just to jump in as well.
Jump in.
If you look stylistically, Scotland are the most similar to the All Blacks as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Out of those teams.
Yeah, 100%. So regardless of the chopping and changing, do we think Rassie will make it? I mean, in rugby, Vickers, I don't think there's a major thing that you change from your identity or your DNA or your template, right? Maybe you might tweak a line-out move. You might tweak maybe a breakdown move from maybe picking up a ball and driving more. And we saw what they did with Italy with the line-out jump thing in the middle of the park. I mean, it's not that you will do something totally different for 80 minutes. You still have your fundamentals to focus on, right? So as a coach as well, do you think the Springboks got away from jail when they played Scotland versus the other two games? Or do you think the Springboks were still mature enough against Scotland where they had the experience, they had maybe some error rates were a bit high, but cohesion was still there. You had the experience, and they could guide themselves into a 40-point win versus if you didn't have your senior players in that squad, they would have lost that game easily. Because, I mean, the Springboks didn't threaten a lot against Scotland, but as soon as they landed inside the Scottish 22, very clinical, you know? I mean, we can talk about the one kickoff where Kobus Visa is lifted in the air, he's dropped, he catches the kickoff, and he runs 40, 50 meters. Your Scottish defense is already in tatters. It's a quick ball, boom, boom, boom. 2 tries back to back. It's 14 points by the time you look at the scoreboard. And in a game that's more cagey and more close, how do you think, if you don't have an Itzabeth, if you don't have a Siakolisi, do you think a Rassie Erasmus would risk not having Siakolisi and Eben Itzabeth against the All Blacks?
Yeah, yeah, I think. Look, when you look at those two guys, I think it's more like leadership more than it's more like motivational leadership or inspirational leadership more than anything. So
100%.
Yeah, so for me, I think no one changes, no coaches changes their foundation of their game plan based on the players or based on the team. But remember, certain teams, certain players execute certain things differently. You will have the same game plan and change players, but they will execute it differently based on the fact that had that been Eben being lifted against Scotland and he broke through, he wouldn't have ran as fast as Visa, for example. That try from Papier, maybe Kobus Reinach wouldn't have picked it up as quick as Papier did, and he probably wouldn't have finished the try, or whatever it is. So you don't really change, but the thing is this: as soon as we change personnel, it looks like everything has changed. So for me, I think the game against Scotland is Scotland, like we discussed in the pod. Scotland should have been kicking themselves because they should have won that game, because the Springbok team that they played that weekend, they will never ever have another opportunity to play the same Springbok team again, because remember, those guys are going to gain caps now. They've gained the cap. They're going to gain caps going forward. They're going to gain caps. So by the time they meet Scotland again, those guys will be experienced and the things will change. But the one thing that we can take out from the game scoop is the tip passes that Scotland tore South Africa apart.
Yeah.
So if you look at that and you look at the way that South Africa defend, that's probably going to be one thing that South Africa will have to be watching in that game. Is that because New Zealand could bring that depth. They've got the skillful players. They've got the talent to be able to spot those opportunities. And then, I mean, and then again, it's a matter of who's starting at wings, fullback for South Africa. For me, it's not so much in the forwards; it's about the backfield. Because once you understand the backfield, then you mostly a person like Dave Rennie will then understand how they approach. So I don't know. I have this feeling that South Africa will not be announcing their team early. I don't know. It's just me. I have this feeling.
On Monday.
No, I think the first test, Coop, I think the first test might be like that. I think the first test might be, but I don't think going into test 2, 3, 4, it will be that. I don't know. Maybe.
So if let's say All Blacks win the first test, then Rassie will be apprehensive in naming that team on a Monday again.
I think you'd consider a decision. He wouldn't. I think it would be. He'll push it till that last day. I think it's usually 2 days, 48 hours before.
Yeah.
So I think he'll push it to that last day. And if you guys remember, he did this in the World Cup. I think was it the World Cup where he started announcing his teams later. I think it was the World Cup. He started announcing his teams when it was required, not when it was his own time. So again, it's going to be the beautiful thing about this again to you guys is that it's going to be a mindset tour. We're going to see a lot of mind games. It's going to be a lot of mind games tour. We're going to see a lot of mind games being played in this scoop. Again, your theory about changing the lineup before the game, I think we might see that
a lot. Clockwork. Jade, you've been quiet. Vickers talks about different personnels every now and again. But when you look at Dave Rennie from the past 3 games, and now he's going into facing Western Province Stormers on Friday. I think he plays another club game the following week. What do you think would be the right way of picking his team to make sure everybody gets a run? Does he mix and matches the same way Rassie kind of picked his team over England, picked the team over Scotland, picked the team over Wales?
Yeah. So what we never spoke about is we never spoke about the squad that they've really selected. It was 44. I think he should have went with 46, just to so that there's a 23, so that you can always mix and match and keep the guys guessing. Because Rassie will know after the Bulls game next week. I think he knows now 90% of the All Black starting team. But after that, he will know who is the All Blacks team. He will know that 23 because obviously those guys won't play against the Bulls next week, and he will know exactly who those three will play in. There's a few guys who play back to back. I think there's a few outright backs who play back to back, but just the whole shape, that they've really selected his team. You can see that Rassie will completely know what the All Black team will be when he selects his team. But All Blacks won't know what is Rassie going to give them, They might see the team on Monday and then prep for it, but he can't tell me now he knows the Boks team for the first test compared to the way the All Blacks will know. The way the Boks will know what the All Black team is in the first test. The other thing is, if you're looking at the positives of the way they've really selected, he selected a few players in there that is like for like. Ethan Blackadder, Luke Jacobson, and Anton Segner, very similar, in their profiles. Samesi Tupo Taulua, he's selected because the most informed player in South Africa at the moment is Jasper Visser. And he's one of those guys that nobody can stop at the moment. For the past year or since we got that ban, he's been incredible. So Samesi Tupo Taulua was a similar type of player. So he's got somebody in there. He might not play in the test, but in prepping that test team for the weekend, he'll be one of those guys defensive line and running in the same body structure, same type of player, same fit. Might not have the same experience as Visa, might not be as good as Visa, but he's going to come the whole time, So look at the guys he selected. Imoni Narawa, why was he given the nod? Look at his profile compared to a Jason Colby and a Curtly Aronson. Can you see? See where am I going at? So look at the way they've really selected his team. He selected a few of those guys that was 50-50 to come on the store, was selected because they have a similar profile and status or stature, body stature to the way the Boks have, The players of the Boks. And I think that is what. Same was Josh Jacob. Why was he selected? He plays flat. Why does Manny Lebok and Sasha play? They play flat and they attack the line.
They attack the line. Yeah.
They attack the line. That is why they were selected. And also, if Luke Jacobson, we know he's going to start at 7. If he goes down, throw Ethan Blackadder in at 7 is like for like. He's going to do the same job.
Just shoulders, huh?
Yes, just going to do the same job. So that is why they also selected a team in that way. So for me, I think Dave Rennie's selection has been good. It's spot on. I don't have any faults with that team. Maybe, there was eyebrows raised for a few players. Everybody is questioning and wonders on the spot questioning Du Plessis Referee. But what do Du Plessis Referee bring? That others is not bringing. He doesn't have that profile that Luke Jacobson, that Ethan have. They lineup options. They ball in hand. They hit more rucks. They're more dominant at ruck time. They get more turnovers than Griffey. We forget that last season, Griffey didn't make one steal at international level. He had his chance last year. He wasn't effective.
He was buried in those rucks, man.
He was buried. He was clean up, buried. And you can't say that you need to take time to get used to international rugby. Paul de Villiers took to international rugby like a duck to water. And they got the same profile. They've got the dead same profile. So for me, I think they've really got the right coaches on board. He's got the right personnel there. And I think he was clever by selecting players as like for like, in certain aspects. Only issue is the scrum. We don't know how that will go. But I can tell you this, that they will be extra focused at scrum time when it comes to the Boks because they are aware of that threat.
Fair. That sounds good. But the one other topic then, we've spoken about the squads. We know now the Springboks are going to play Argentina, Vickers, Griffin. Can we take anything out of that game? We understand Argentina have included 10 uncapped players. So Springboks could be playing the Papas, basically. That's how bad or how inexperienced the Argentinian side will be. So, I mean, can we take anything from that? Or this is Rassi's way of getting the Sashas, the Itzabeds, the Sias into match fitness?
Yeah, I think it will be a case of if he's bringing guys back from injury, how do they look? Do they look ready? That will be the main thing that we can take. And I don't see that Argentina play anything like the All Blacks.
Yeah,
based on the data that I have. So I don't think so. I don't think you can take anything at all from it. Really, I don't expect us to really learn anything from that in terms of new things about the Springboks. Like I said, if they haven't shown their full hand in the 4 games so far, they're definitely not going to show it now. So I think there's
because
So I think, look, if you look at the game, it's a perfect. It falls in terms of periodization. It falls perfectly because the next game will be in 14 days. So we always plan as coaches to play 14 days prior to your main game that you want because of the muscle injury. The muscle injuries can recover at 10 days, within 10 days. So the thing is, when you look at that, like, it's out of the transfer, it's out of the not transfer, sorry, it's out of the window, the international window. So now Argentina this is probably the worst timing for them. So why not giving your youngsters a chance to play against the Springbok team? But then if you look at it in the other way, for South Africa, the game is not important. It's about just getting a bash, just getting a run against another international team. So for me, I think this game was probably just designed and organized so that it's just basically like a warm up game, if you could call it like that.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So it doesn't matter who wins the game, but it's just a matter of getting the guys out there, getting basically the cobwebs out. The most important one for Argentina is probably more important for this game because you can see the young players that are coming up and you can try new combinations. So maybe it's more important for Argentina than for the Boks.
Fair enough. I think then the one important part we haven't touched on is starting. I know we've spoken about it in terms of maybe changes here and there, but now let's say hypothetically the game is this Saturday, the first test. What is the Springbok starting lineup? What do we see All Blacks doing in terms of the starting lineup? So we need to go into that. The first 23 from both sides. Everyone fit. Every single player fit currently. Vickers, maybe let's start with you. Oxen chair.
I think it's a tried and tested. I think tried and tested, definitely. Oxen chair, Marks, probably Vincent Koch. Because I don't.
No, Vincent. Really?
Yeah. I think Vincent. Maherd is not fit. Is he fit?
Or no. He's not.
Thomas, maybe
Thomas du Toit.
Maybe Thomas, or maybe he actually could start with Koch and keep Thomas on the bench for the impact in the second half. You got, I think, Eben. You go Eben, Nokia, Sia.
Quibus, Vickers.
Yes, sir.
So Quibus doesn't even play. Start.
No, he won't be starting. He won't be starting. I think he'll be on the bench.
He's had such a good run.
Yeah, I know, but I think he'll be on the bench. I think he will go with Eben. Okay, let's say this. That number 4 jersey would depend on the game against Argentina.
Ooh.
Because if Eben plays well in that game and he comes out without any problems in terms of, because remember, Eben is not injured. He had concussion problems. So he physically, his body is okay. He's probably just picking up dizziness here and there.
A bump, yeah.
Yeah, so he's picking up dizziness. He's probably picking up small things. Those things you can handle. You can handle through a quad bike, a row. Those things are easy to handle. So I think if Eben passes this week, if he plays, then I think he should start. And then your back three, like I said, Sia, Peter, Stefan, Jasper. I think he'll go with Kobus Reiner. I think he might go with Manili Bok at 10. It depending on Sasha. If Sasha is good, I think he'll go with Sasha. But Pollard will be on the bench, definitely.
For all three tests.
I think Pollard will definitely be in the mix. In the mix, without any doubt, he'll be in the mix. You get I think Aaron's 11, 14, Cheslin 15. I think the 15 jersey is going to be interesting, but it will be, I think, Damon Willemse. I think Damon Willemse will take the first test.
At 15?
But I don't think he will survive all three tests. I think we might see Fassi in that mix, somewhere in that mix.
Hugh and Jade, you can jump in anyway with this conversation.
And then just to finish the centers, obviously, Demi Delende and Creel. Yeah.
Okay. But
yeah, I think Thomas Toy starts at 3. I think he's a shoe in at 3 to start at 3. I don't know what this Ox. That's the one injury cloud that's still hanging around there.
So let's say Ox is not available for the first test. Then who is the loose end? Steenkamp. Okay. All Blacks there. All Blacks have a chance then.
Steenkamp was bad. It's a good scrummager. So I think Andre Wessels is injured, right? He's not in the squad. I think he's injured.
I didn't see his name.
So yeah, he's not in the squad. I think his injury is out. So I think Steenkamp starts at loose head. If Ox is not there. And then I think he'll go with Eben. But how fit is Eben? How much fun is Eben?
He hasn't played a lot of rugby, Eben, Vickers, huh?
Same with Loet.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not. So sorry, Jade. Like I said, it's not like an injury where he has a broken bone, where he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
This is the concussion. A concussion is basically a group. If you look at the concussion protocol, the moment you're dizzy, you feel dizzy. You're getting pulled out. So
you pulled out,
That's not
even at training. They go nope, step to the side.
That's got nothing to do with your ability as a player. So what I'm saying is that I don't think it's a massive impact. Actually, this concussion thing would have done him a great well because his body is recuperating nicely.
But do you think in terms of match fitness, because then it allows you to get back into it get back into it like you never left, or there will be some, I don't know, rustiness in terms of just the game, like physicality, fitness, the endurance that comes with it, making tackles, getting up and going to make another tackle, because it can test you eventually. I'm not saying that physically he's not there, but I'm just saying that getting up, making another tackle, getting up, making another tackle, pushing in the scrums, lifting in the line out, doing mauls, all these variants that are possible within the game. Does he get back into his rhythm in that sense? Because he's only had like 1 or 2 games in 8 months, roughly.
I think it will be, like I said, if he has to start the game against Argentina and push, I would even go as far as push him 80 minutes. See how he survives, because at the end of the day, there is no better fitness than a game. So push him at the 80 minutes, and then at least he'll still have, like I said, he still has the 14 days to recover, to actually try and recuperate again until he can come back. But he has to start against Argentina, because if he's on the bench,
has to start, yeah.
Yeah, he has to start.
He hasn't played any rugby since his ban, basically. He's had 1 or 2 games for the Sharks, right? And then he got injured and he played 1 game, or he didn't play for the Boks. So he needs game time. I mean, he hasn't been injured. I mean, he's got his concussion now, but I mean, he's barely played rugby since his brain fought against Wales in November. So I know a guy like Eben Etzebeth. I mean, if you also know it, the older you get, they call it dog fit. You know, you put on the boots and you're good to go. You know, you'll be good to go. But I think he needs a deep run against Argentina. I think he needs a good run, and then they need to also check how he's monitor flags. You know, when does his monitor flag according to their protocol? I don't know what is their protocol, but I think the Boks have a certain protocols where they monitor flag and they know they need to make that change. So when does it flag? Is it flagging earlier, or is it still on par to what it's been accustomed with him? And then they can make that call to start him in the next days, basically.
They will monitor his GPS unit closely. They'll monitor his GPS unit because once he hits a certain level, and he can't come out of that level. So, for example, if you look at his GPS and you say, okay, he's been on the same level since this minute, for example, since minute 30, he's not getting higher. He's not increasing his speed. He's not increasing his running meters in within 100 meters. So you monitor his level of within the GPS, and then obviously if his level is not increasing, then what's the point of having the player out on the field? Because then he's just going to get injured. So that's when you'll pull him. So I think that's what it will come down to, is that the fitness trainer will have a live GPS on him, watching exactly what Eben is doing, increasing the levels, dropping the levels, increasing the levels, and then once his levels get stagnant, and then that's when they'll probably decide to pull him.
Okay, fair enough. That's the 15 we're going with. Jade, Griffin, do you have any changes from, I think Vickers and Jade are pretty much aligned with that 15?
Yeah, I think if Sasha's fit, I think if Sasha comes through the Argentina game, then I think he'll start. Other than that, no, I don't. I think there's not that many spots up for grabs right now. I think the big question is 9 for me. Will it be Williams or Reinach? I think that's the big one. I think it'll be Williams.
To start. I think he hasn't started the big games, Williams. They always prefer right now. Over the years, or from what I've seen.
I think it's a big question. I'm not 100%, but I think if they're going to target the All Blacks aerially, then I think Williams is the one for that.
There's a better kicking game as well. Fair. Jade, the All Blacks 15 then to counter the Springbok team.
Now we know the team already, Scoop. We know the team already. It's going to be
what?
There's going to be Ethan de Groot. There's going to be Cody Taylor. Cody Taylor will play. If he's fit, I don't think he'll play until maybe the Bulls game will get a hit out. He's got a calf strain.
Yeah.
And obviously, between Newell and Lomax, and then Vice can play at 6, so he'll go with 2 locks. So most probably pair it to Belotto and Terry, depending on what Holland is and how he comes through. And maybe you might see Holland in the second and third test, you know. They might build him up into this test series. And then RE8, Vice 6, Jacobson will play, Roy Godlove, Morby will be on the one wing, Jordan other wing, Mackenzie fullback, Tupai and Jordy will be the centers. And then the bench, you know, the bench is an interesting one. And for me, I think that for the first time, since 2015, when they had Sonny Bill, Victor Vito, and all of those guys coming from the bench, you know,
Liam Messam
then coming from the bench. I think the bench looks much better now, much better with Sofamboa, Umia. I would keep Tossi on the bench because he's a big physical impact, you know, and then Satiti and Alakai, and then you have Leonard Brown, Clark, and the reserve scrum off. So I think the bench has got a lot of impact, you know, for the first time in a while. You know, it just hasn't been that monotonous.
Do you change then Ratima for Preston, or do you still keep Preston as a reserve 9?
Preston's the third choice at the moment. Ratima's been there. I think Cam Roy got to go deep in all 3 tests. I think he'll go
deep in all 3 tests. My God.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll go very deep in all.
What about Victor?
Who?
Rika Ayani.
Play because
Rico will be there. He'll come in. Listen, guys, I'm gonna say, in a series like this, you're gonna expect somebody to be that, like Morgenstein was when the first Lions tour a few years ago, the hero, in
Yeah.
2009. And then Morgenstein came in and be the hero. In the 1996 series, a guy by the name of John Preston was the hero. Came from the bench, kicked a few kicks, and won the game over. So you're going to get somebody like that. Out of the blue, just come in and is going to win the series. I don't know who's it going to be. I know that I'd like it to be them to wear a black shirt, yeah, but you're going to get somebody like that, And I don't know. I don't know who it'll be at the moment, but you're going to find it unsung hero from somewhere, and that's what makes this test series so intriguing and exciting.
Vickers, are you and Hugh? I mean, if you are Springboks, are you scared of that lineup when you see the lineup that Jade has given us?
Ruben Love
if
at
you're a
10
Springbok,
is a joke, man. I don't know.
And if sorry,
I think Ruben Love at 10 can't. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But guys, to be on a what do you call it, on a safe side, I think I don't know if Ruben is the right 10 for a greatest rivalry, because of the fact that game is huge. It's bigger than him, bigger than anyone can think at that jersey. That number 9 jersey, number 10 jersey is the biggest for the All Blacks, because no player has ever worn that jersey and being average. Like, it's impossible. So for me, I don't know. I think maybe that's why he's keeping Bowden Barrett just in the mix, just there, so that he can throw him in that first test and see what happens.
That could be the surprise from the All Blacks. Oh my God, Bowden Barrett. Wow, I think Rico Ioane needs to break a toenail so that we saw Richie Mo'unga score a winning try for Canterbury in the NPC. So yeah, I would prefer a Richie Mo'unga. I would be much more comfortable with the Richie Mo'unga and Cam Roigard 9 and 10, because I think Richie brings more to the table. Even from set play, he still brings more. Especially when it comes to general play, oh my goodness! I think his attacking shape, his running lines, his ability to create space for the guys outside him. I don't think Ruben Love has done that. He's been very safe from what he's given us. I mean, yeah, he's played a very safe game where there's little mistakes, and then just making sure Jordie Barrett gets more space, or is the one that's almost like playing two pivots in a way. So running at an axis with the screen plays, Jordie Barrett would be the one that makes those final passes, and not Ruben Love. He's still wet behind the ears at the moment, but obviously the more games you play, right, the more confident you become. But I mean, I think Dave Rennie is also a guy who's full of surprises. He might just say, hey, let's throw you in the deep end against the Springboks. Let's see what you can do, because everyone is screaming and crying that they want to see you. So let's throw you in the deep end. Let's have a look. And then if you crumble, we know Dave Rennie is not going to pick you the next weekend. You're going to be sitting on eating bench for the second or third test, etc. So, yeah, that's just my view.
Dave Rennie is a coach that will drop you the Wednesday for having a bad training session. And he did it with Wallace's TT.
Yeah.
He's a guy that will drop you the Wednesday. Although the team is announced on Monday, internally he'll drop you on Wednesday if you had a bad training session. So his demand is high. So I think, you're on to something there, but I think you'll give Ruben Love the first test. I think so. I think he deserves it. And you never know unless the guy gets a run out there. You never know.
Yeah. Because?
No, I wanted to say, Richie Mo'unga currently is actually a New Zealand player, because he's playing in New Zealand. So he must just take a holiday to Cape Town and just go on a break.
A holiday to Cape Town in winter.
Yeah, simple. Holiday to Cape Town and just wait there. If something happens, he's there. You don't need to fly anyone in. I think, look, that's one thing about actually our sport in general. It's so crazy that everyone wants to know the news because obviously, if all of a sudden Rishi Moanga would have to fly to Cape Town, it would be a big news, and even the player
Yeah.
himself that is in the team would be worried. So that's the thing about I always talk about is that funny enough, I feel like they should just do it. Let him fly to Cape Town. Don't let anyone know that he's in Cape Town. When the Crusaders have been asked where's Richie, Richie took a sabbatical for the last few games because we all know he's coming into the squad, regardless what's going to happen. You're going to get injured against the Stormers. One player gets a lock gets injured against the Stormers. Richie Mwanga is flying.
A lock. Anyway, guys, I think that let's wrap it up. Final thoughts. Stormers versus All Blacks next week. We've got Argentina versus Springboks. We've got Japan, guys. Don't forget, Japan versus Australia. Les Kiss is at the wheel, and yeah, his first game, his first outing. Australian coach Eddie Jones, who's in charge of Japan, and Australian head coach in charge of the Wallabies. So Australia versus Australia in in the bigger scheme of things. But nonetheless, final thoughts, Jade Craig, before we wrap it up.
No, nothing. You know what? Just go and wait for the tour to start. And I mean, at least next week, we can have a look at both teams, and it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see what teams, the URC teams, put out there.
Yeah, fair enough. Griffin.
No, mate, nothing else to add. I think Box to beat Argentina. I think I give Japan a chance against Australia. No, I give them a chance.
Ooh. Yeah, that would be big news if Japan upset Australia. Vickers?
Yeah, just to send last condolences, obviously, to the family of the kid from Weinberg. He was laid to rest yesterday.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So just condolences to the family again. I mean, you know what? When you look at that Felicia, the Felicia chant again,
Song.
it will never be the same. So yeah, just that, and then obviously we all can't wait for the tour to start, so we can start to have good conversations. And again, Scoop, when someone challenges our pod in terms of what we discuss, can we all agree to just direct them to the right conversation? Because a lot of people think they hear your what you call it,
the clips,
your snippet, and they think the whole conversation was about. That's what the conversation was. It's crazy.
That's why it's highlights package, but we don't watch highlights package on the pod. But yeah, nonetheless, thanks guys, thanks Vickers, thanks Jade, thanks Hugh, thanks to all the listeners that I see that online. We'll put the pod on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And we can't wait. Greatest Rivalry kicks off on Friday. Woohoo! We're finally going to see Dave Rennie's men in South Africa. He enjoyed playing against the Stormers when he was at the Chiefs, and he used to usually put a big number of points against those clubs as well. All right, guys, have a great Sunday. Have a great week ahead. See you guys next week Sunday. And let's enjoy the footy at large. Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
Thanks, guys.